Hello and welcome to Blade Bench. Today we're checking out the Kershaw Strata XL. And of course, if you guys like these vids, please like and subscribe. It really helps grow the channel. But let's check this bad boy out. This thing is really cool. It's definitely in pocket sword category. And for Kershaw to come out with something like this, it's really neat. It's got a 5.4-inch blade. So it's got a really big blade on it. The handles, it's getting it close to that, almost two-handed handle sort of thing. So into the pocket sword category. Really, really neat. I'm actually quite proud of Kershaw for coming up with something like this. So 5.4-inch blade. It is D2 blade steel, and it's got this bead blasted finish, which I quite like. You can see I've got a little bit of kind of rust spots on there, which I'm not super happy with. I haven't really played with this thing for a while, so it's been sitting in my knife kind of storage case, so I should oil that up. But the bead blasted finish on the D2 is, I guess it's not super corrosion resistant, so I mean that's more my fault for not taking care of it like I should. Bead blasted finish carries through to the frame lock handle, and I like what they do here with these copper accents on the pivot. So they got copper accents there on those bars, as well as these copper accents on the little tube spacers themselves. This is a flipper. There's no thumb stud on it. So when you close it with the frame lock, and you can see this pivot piece acts as like an over travel stop for that frame lock. So when you close it up and flip it open, it's got a nice flipper tab there. I think it could be a little bigger because just the way that this thing's designed, it's not a stiff pivot, but you don't really have very much advantage here to flip open this kind of longer blade. So you got to really dig in there. But it flips open like butter once you get it. And it is on ball bearing. So it's a really, really smooth knife. Really good lockup with that frame lock. Like, look at that. It's, fully locked up there. And it's not stiff to disengage. And it'll fall shut like butter. So you got to watch out and make sure that you get your hands out of there. So G10 handle scales, which I dig. There's some really nice texturing on there, as well as these milled out little portions kind of along here, along the back. They've got that different kind of angles on there. Really nice. Really slim pocket knife too. For such a monster folder, I'm used to the cold steel big bad boy, the XL Voyagers and the Espadas and stuff. And they're quite long. They've got, really long blades like this, but they're thick, big, fat, thick things in your pocket. Whereas this thing's super slim, really slim. Like it's as slim as, like a Benchmade bug out sort of thing. But it's got this huge honking, pocket swordy knife on the thing. There is some jimping along the spine here. And they got some nice kind of beveling on the spine as well. And it's not super aggressive jimping, but it's enough that gives you a little bit of grip there. Really cool clip point on this thing. They're going for like the Spanish Navaja style kind of blade, like like the Espadas by Cold Steel and things. This is just their modern take on it, and I think they did a really nice job with it. It does have like this modern and almost Star Wars-y kind of flair to it with the shape of the handle on this thing. Really neat. I've always been a sucker for frame locks. I really like frame lock folders. So yeah, really neat. The pocket clip here it's quite nice. I like it. It's a deep carry pocket clip, so you can see, look how deep that thing is going to sit in your pocket. When this thing sits in there, I mean, you see nothing. It's really, for such a giant knife, that when your pocket will swallow this thing up and no one will even know that you've got this gigantic knife in there because it's so thin and so kind of light. I mean, it's not super light. It's 5.8 ounces. But as far as just the profile of it, when that's sitting in your pocket, it's really, you basically don't even really notice it. It's so thin. Even when you stick your hands in your pocket, because of that how thin it is, you can still get your keys or whatever you got in there. And it's not taking up your entire pocket, although it goes all the way down in your pocket. Really neat knife. And I love that they did a deep carry pocket clip. It's still really easy to pull out. They've got this nice kind of ramped section of the grip here, even with this little notch. So when it's sitting in your pocket, you've got, this to kind of hang on to and pull out. So you've got a good grip on it. So when you pull that thing out, it's still pretty easy to grab. I'll give you kind of a close-up of the back side. I really like frame locks. The bead blasted finish is nice. I always have really hot hands. I don't know if some of you guys have that, but my hands on a regular knife will, like a, like a satin finish knife or something, will be so fingerprinty. But on the on the bead blasted finish, I don't really have that problem. So there's a view of the front side, or sorry, the back side. Here's a view of the front with the G10. Real nice flipper on there. Now, this thing is on ball bearing pivots, so it has this really nice smooth click. I don't know if that really comes through in video too well, but when you open it and close it, it's got a really satisfying sound to it, like really nice kind of quality, look and feel to this knife. So again, I've been really proud of Kershaw. When I saw they came out with this, or were going to come out with it, I had to buy one as soon as it was at my local knife store. I got it like instantly. I'm always been really partial to the really big folding knives. Really, really nice. Now that flipper, like I said, is pretty stiff. So it's got this nice jimping on there. So I mean, it is really grippy on your finger, but it's just the angle of it, and you can see like it's just this narrow little nub that sticks out. Some knives, like I'm rocking this thing in my pocket right now. I mean, look at that flipper tab. That thing is, comes out of your pocket and you can whip that thing open effortlessly. But in comparison, look how that little baby nub. So it makes it a little harder it took me a little bit of practice to, flip this thing open reliably. But once I got it, I mean, it's fine now. It's totally fine. So yeah, the little copper anodized pieces on there are really, really neat. I really like the kind of futuristic Navaja way that they went about making this knife. I think they did a really nice job. I don't think Kershaw has any other large knives. I wonder if they do. If anybody knows of Kershaw, because I've always been partial to the Kershaw brand. Some of my first pocket knives were Kershaw's, like the Leaks and the Blur. That Blur was the first pocket knife I had. I'm sure all you guys know what the Kershaw Blur, or lots of you. And that was my first, assisted open flipper. This thing is not assisted open, I should say. But I've been really partial to Kershaw knives forever. I'm kind of leaning more towards cold steel knives now. But the Kershaws are awesome, but I don't think they have anything big like this, or even anything in like the 4-inch category. For me, my perfect EDC is about 4 inches to 5.5 inches. So this thing fits that bill absolutely perfectly for me. But I think Kershaw, they mostly do like 3 and 3.5 inch blades. But if anybody knows of like a 4-inch plus knife that Kershaw does, please let me know, because I'd really like to check it out. I really like the bigger, pocket sword kind of folders. Doesn't necessarily have to be a pocket sword, but just the bigger folders. I don't know. I just like them. They're just cooler. They're more fun to play with. They freak people out better. when your coworkers or whatever, you whip it out, everybody goes, "Oh my God, what do you have that thing in your pocket for?" I wonder what that must be, like the knife maker symbol, or I should have looked up who collaborated, because you know how Kershaw they collaborate with Ken Onion and different knife makers. Cool little symbol. I wonder if anybody knows what that is. If you do know, let me know. That's not a Kershaw symbol. Kershaw always does this, their brand name. But that thing, it's almost like a Star Wars-y little symbol, but it must be a knife maker. But anyways, yeah, really cool knife. I really recommend it. How slim it is what kind of makes it stand out for me among all the other kind of big folders that I have. They're cool and they're big and they're chunky. But I don't know, something about this thing is it's just neat, and it's different. It's totally different than my other ones. So from time to time I rock this thing. And it is, what's the blade thickness on this thing? 0.13 inches. So it's not like a super thin knife stock, but it's not super thick either, kind of somewhere in the middle. So really cool, really nice edge on this thing. Pretty cool knife. I would definitely recommend it. Anyways, there you go, guys. There's the Kershaw Strata XL. They do make a regular version, which I'm not going to bother picking up because I like my XLs. But yeah, there she is. Kershaw Strata XL. Thanks, guys. Check you next time.